Welcome to Mikab College online tutorial. We hope at the end of this lesson, you will have acquired the expected learning outcome. Sit down and listen attentively as we introduce your subject teacher.
Hello students, my name is Samson. I'm here to take you biology, and our topic for today is Introduction to Biology. What is biology? Well, biology is one of the science subjects, and it is a science subject. As a science subject, we want to first of all take a look at what science is. Science has been defined as the systematic study of nature. It is a way of inquiry about events, phenomena, and other things that happen in nature. As one of the subjects of science, biology has been defined as the study of life. Biology is coined from two Greek words, which are bio and logos, which means biology is the study of life. When we study biology, we take a look at the various branches that can be studied and that can help us to understand biology as a whole. What are the various branches of biology? Well, it includes subjects such as Botany, Zoology, Ecology, Morphology, Anatomy, Genetics, Physiology, and so many others like that. Now, we shall be taking a look at what can help us to really understand biology as a whole. To study science and make a success of it very well, especially biology, we want to take a look at some methods that scientists normally make, or the processes they follow in carrying out investigation or inquiry about nature. This is also being employed in the study of biology, and these processes include observation, identification, classification, measurement, inference, and so many others. To make this identification, scientists need to make use of their various senses, most especially the 5 sense organs. These organs will enable us to be able to observe what happens in our environment, identify and classify things based on the groups they belong to, and at the same time make inference. This inference will have to do with making a partial conclusion about the observations we make. Scientists also make measurements using useful tools to be able to measure what they discover. In science, we also make hypotheses. This has to do with the guess that scientists make before they carry out a particular experiment. Then, experiment itself is the actual practical or the investigation that scientists go into before they make any conclusion. The conclusion, theory as well as law, they follow each other. The conclusion is what scientists are able to draw at the end of making an experiment. Now, we want to take a look at how do we make reports whenever we make an experiment. Good. To make report of any experiment carried out, the pattern we follow is as follows. The first is that as a student of biology, whenever you are carrying out an experiment and you want to make a report about the experiment, you have to follow this pattern. The first thing is for you to write the aim of the experiment. This is the same thing that scientists all over the world also do in being able to make discovery of any new things. Then you will also need to name the material or apparatus that you use in carrying out the experiment. The next thing is the stepwise actions or process you follow when you are carrying out the experiment, and that is method. Once you are carrying out the experiment, you must have made some observations, such as maybe on a particular organism, how many limbs they are having, does the organism have a wing, or is it wingless, and things like that. All these observations, you write them in the course of your carrying out the experiment. At the end of the experiment, you make a conclusion. What were you able to deduce or conclude from all that you have carried out so far? That is about conclusion. Now, coming into biology proper, we said it before that biology studies living things. And these living things are what? Plants and animals. What makes us to be able to identify living things from non-living things? Or what makes a living thing living? These are the characteristics of living things. Well, maybe in your junior classes, maybe GS class, or maybe primary school, you have been taught that the characteristics of living things are being represented with the acronym Mr. Niger-D. Well, that is for the lower level. At this level, the characteristics of living things we are going to learn are going to go beyond Mr. Niger-D. And what do this include? The first you see there is movement. Every living thing, both plants and animals, move. The next is respiration, and that is the ability to make use of oxygen to break down food. Now we talk about nutrition. Every living thing feed. So nutrition simply means feeding. Irritability, and that one has to do with organisms being sensitive to changes in their environment. We have growth, because every living thing grows, both plants and animals. Excretion, this is the process by which metabolic waste are being discharged from the body of organisms. Reproduction, in order to ensure continuity of life, every living thing reproduces, and so reproduction is an aspect of the characteristics of living things. However, we must know that this reproduction could be sexual or asexual. In the case of sexual, both male and female organisms will have to mate, copulate, before a new offspring will be formed. Then another one, which is asexual reproduction, does not involve the mating of living organisms. Now, living things also adapt to various changes that occur in their environment. So when an environment is too hot, when an environment is too cold, it's too watery, so living things find themselves in various environments, and so they have to adapt to this. That is adaptation. Another aspect is lifespan. Living organisms have a lifespan. This is because their life stages, their lives are in stages, starting from birth, the moment of conception. After conception is birth, then the organisms will grow. After some time they mature. Then from maturing, after some time they begin to decline, and that is during old age. Then the final part is death. Living organisms also die. Then another aspect of characteristics of living things is competition. Every living thing competes, both animals and even plants. Now, despite the fact that living things include plants and animals, that does not mean that plants and animals, even though they carry out the same characteristics, they are the same in every way. What difference can we get from plants and animals? From what you can see on the board, we have, in the case of plants, their cells have what we call rigid, non-living cellulose cell wall. But in the case of animals, theirs is a flexible cell membrane. Another thing is that the cells of animals do not have they do not have large vacuoles. Rather, their cells have small vacuoles. But in the case of plants, their vacuoles are large. Then, food in plant is being stored mainly as starch. But in the case of animals, food is stored as either glycogen or fat. Then, the body parts of plants do not have, they are indefinite. That is, the number of branches, the number of leaves they are going to produce, the number of fruits, they are not definite. So we cannot determine that. But in the case of animals, the number of hands that an animal should have is definite. Like in the case of human as an animal now, we must have 2 hands, 2 legs, and all like that. Then, plants also have the ability to carry out photosynthesis. But animals do not have the ability to carry out photosynthesis. How are living things organized? Both plants and animals, their body are being organized. But this organization has to do with 4 levels. The organization of living things are in 4 levels. The first one there, as you can see, the cellular level, then we have the tissue level, the organ level, and then the system level. Let's take a look at the cellular level. When we define cell, a cell is the smallest structural functional unit of life. Simple. Cell is the unit of life. So there are some organisms that exist at this cellular level and not beyond. So some of these organisms include unicellular organisms such as amoeba, paramecium, chlamydomonas, and the likes. Then we also have some multicellular organisms that also exist at the cellular level, and these include organisms like Volvox, Pandorina, Spirogyra, etc. Now, let's take a look at the tissue level of organization. A tissue is defined as a group of cells that perform similar function being aggregated together. Now, when they are found in a multicellular organism, they form a layer, but if they are existing on their own, then they just form an aggregate of cells that perform the same function. An example of such organism at the tissue level include hydra, algae, the sponges, as well as the fungi. Let's take a look at the organ level. The organ level is the third level of organization of life. An organ has been defined as a group of tissues that also perform the same function. There are parts of animals' body that are called organs, and there are parts of plants' body that are also called organs. In the case of plants, they include the leaves, the roots. So whenever you draw a plant and you are labeling parts of it, all those parts you are labeling, they are the organs. Then, in the case of animals, as humans as an example, a human has an eye, we have ears, we have nose, tongue, and also other internal organs such as the heart, the brain, the lung, the liver, etc. So these are examples of organ. Now we are going to the highest level of organization, and that is the system level. The system is also being defined as a group of organs that perform the same function. In the case of plants, we have the ones we call shoot system. Then in the case of animals, in the case of the same plant, we also have what we call the root system. Then in animals, we have various systems in the body. Is it digestive system, reproductive system, excretory system, circulatory system, and on like that. So at this point, we want to take a look at the complexity in higher organisms. We have come to see that we started by saying living organisms are organized into 4 levels. And the first level is what? Cellular level, tissue, organ, and then system. There is a time when an organism has to advance from being unicellular organism to multicellular organism. The reason is because all organisms cannot remain existing at a unicellular level. As a result of this advancement, the various characteristics we mentioned earlier will also have to become complex as well. Then, based on this complexity, we want to take a look at some of the advantages they have and disadvantages. 1, it leads to differentiation of cells to form tissues. Because there is complexity, then cells are able to differentiate in order to form tissues. Then secondly, there is interdependence between component cells, or what we call division of labor. A situation where only one cell will have to be performing all the characteristics will no longer be there. But when there is complexity in higher animals, various cells are performing the same function because there is differentiation. Not only that, there is greater efficiency in carrying out life processes. You know that the work that only one person does before, by the time many people gather hands to do it, there will be more efficiency. So in the same thing, only one cell does the work of the whole characteristics. But when there is complexity in higher animals, then this work will now be shared by various cells that are differentiated into organs, into system, and all of that. The organism will be able to have a chance to increase in their size. And the cellular organisms are always microscopic. But now that they are advancing into multicellular, then they now begin to have more or increase in size and space. There is better chance of adaptation to environmental changes than in unicellular organisms. Because of complexity, unicellular organisms or organisms generally are able to adapt better to environmental changes more than unicellular organisms. But there are some disadvantages. And what are they? It includes the fact that the individual cells can no longer live on their own. They have to depend on others. That means when the other cell dies, the other one dies too. Then, to acquire food and oxygen become more difficult because of complex body structure. Initially, unicellular organisms can just obtain their food by means of a simple means of diffusion. But now, because of complexity, such becomes difficult. Complexity leads to a slower rate of diffusion, and that is because the body size has increased. Reproduction becomes difficult or complex from simple asexual binary fission to complex sexual reproduction. So, finally, to carry out excretion also becomes slower. But before, the simple means of diffusion, of excretion is by simple diffusion. But now, it is more complex. Now, at this point, we are drawing the curtain for today's episode close. We have been able to see that biology is an aspect of science. Biology as a science subject is the study of life. Life includes both plants and animals. We have been able to also take a look at the characteristics of living things, which include that of both animals and plants. The characteristics include reproduction, movement, respiration, and so many others that we have mentioned. We have also been able to see that life is being organized into levels, and these include what? The cell, the tissue, the organs, and the system level. We have also taken a look at why there is complexity in higher organisms. Due to the fact that organisms increase or advance from simple or unicellular to higher animals, it becomes complex, and their characteristics as well also become complex. At this point, we'll be stopping here, and the next topic we shall be taking a look at is how do we classify living things, and that is classification of living things. Thank you for today's episode. Please watch out for the next. Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time to watch this presentation. We hope you have made some new discoveries. Please take time to watch other related videos from Mikab on Ecology on this platform. You can also study the transcript of this very lecture by clicking the link below. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like the video. If you are yet to subscribe to our channel, please go ahead and do so. Feel free to share our videos to your friends and ask them to subscribe to our channel. Wishing you success in your career. Bye for now.